Hi, it's V. It's the 1 year anniversary of when I got my diagnosis of bipolar I. So I just want to give you the story of how I got there. So I was in this very deep depression September and October. It kind of was caused by trying teaching as a profession and then it falling apart, and I quit very early in the school year. I didn't make it through September and I felt horrible. I couldn't really get out of bed, or if I did, I just played video games and watched TV all day. I didn't even feel comfortable being around really close friends. I couldn't think of anything to say, except for how horrible I felt. And so I tried an antidepressant for the first time. My psychiatrist, who I started seeing, put me on Prozac, and this worked pretty quickly. In a few weeks I was feeling better, then better, then better. And by the time I recorded all that stuff, the Mania in the Blue Hills, that I've been putting videos out, that was November 9th. At that point, I was definitely in a mania. And my psychiatrist at our previous session has been saying, okay, you're doing really well. We just need to make sure that you kind of level off and it's not too much. But he didn't know I had bipolar at that point either. So I had that nutty day where I felt like I was creating this production that was going to change the world. The next couple days, the 10th and 11th, I went to New York and saw some friends. I went to an LGBTQ plus museum. I'll put the link in the description. I was so enthralled with everything. There was this really sad exhibit that was an altar with these pictures of trans people that have been killed, and it just hit me so hard. I was feeling everything multiplied by 100. I fell on the floor crying, and it was just intense all weekend. I was barely sleeping, getting up 4 a.m. and just writing and creating. Anyway, I got back from that weekend and it continued to ramp up. Tuesday, I took to Twitter in a huge way and I made a video about this, Mania Plus Twitter. And I just was going off about all these thoughts that I was thinking, how everything was connected, how everything was one. And in this, I also started to think that I might be God and that I might have powers to control the world, and anything that I tweeted would happen. I was tweeting that no one should go to work today. No one's going to go to work today. Someone's going to see this video, these tweets, and it's going to go viral. People are going to realize that they need a day for creativity. And then it got even to a different place where I was like, oh, I'm God. There's an Antichrist out there. They're going to kill me. And then I was like, oh no, but I'm safe. And I believed that I had to really think that I was safe. Otherwise, it wasn't going to be true, because if I'm God, anything I think becomes reality. So one more day until I got admitted the 14th. I was supposed to go on this date, and it was going to be at Jordan's Furniture, and I wanted to go on a dry run with a friend, and so we went. It's a weird date idea, but back in high school, I was introduced to this idea of just going to Jordan's, the one with the Beantown in Reading, because it's the best one. And you just go around to each of the different rooms, and you go with a friend or two and just pretend you live there and role play, and it's really fun if you're in the right mood for it and it's not too busy in there. So I did that with my friend. We had a great time. Then we drove back to her place. I had been smoking a lot of weed this whole time for the last few weeks, which didn't make anything better and probably made my symptoms, in fact, a lot worse, especially in the kind of psychotic realm. But at the time, I thought that maybe the weed was regulating some of my energy, and I also was into some witchcraft at the time, and I was thinking that I was balancing my humors. I would smoke in the shower, and I thought that this was such a great way to start the day because you're combining the water and the fire and the earth of the weed and the air that caused the fire, and I would just believe that I was, balancing myself out. So anyway, this day with my friend, I went with her to Jordan's, and we drove back in separate cars. And on the way, I was getting really paranoid. Again, I was thinking, maybe I'm God. If I'm God, that means there's an Antichrist out there that's going to come and kill me. And this was just going through my brain. I was worrying about one friend that I thought was probably the Antichrist. And then I went and parked, and she had parked at her place in front of me. We each got out of our cars. I looked at her, and in an instant, I saw her face and just knew that she was the Antichrist and she was going to kill me. So I ran back into my car, started it, drove off, and then I parked, more like abandoned my car, half in an intersection, half in the woods, and I booked it into the woods in this suburb and ran. I was running through backyards, running through patches between houses. I ran through this one really thick part of the woods with brambles and with some puddles of water, and the earth was mucky and was sucking at my feet, and I felt like the tree branches were just coming at me like they do in Snow White, and I thought the earth was just swallowing me up, and I was so afraid that I actually pissed myself in the woods, and I then kept fighting to get out, and I got out of that spot, and I wandered out of the woods and into a grocery store parking lot. And in this grocery store parking lot, there just happened to be an ambulance somehow. And one of the paramedics saw me. He was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, "Would you like to come here?" And I was like, "Yes." And he was like, "Do you want to go to the hospital?" And I said, "Yes." So I went into the ambulance. Before we left for the hospital, a cop came and told me that I had, you left your car in the middle of the road. And I was like, "I'm sorry." And he was like, "And, there was some weed in the passenger seat. You should probably keep that away when you're driving." But he was really nice, and he just gave me a parking ticket and didn't worry about the rest. And my friend went and got the car and brought it back to her place. So yeah, then they drove me to the hospital. I, at this point, was hoping that I would be let go. I didn't want to be admitted. And I was put in this holding area. I was acting pretty strange. I remember sweeping dust bunnies from underneath chairs. I remember seeing this other patient who also didn't want to stay with her boyfriend, thinking they just were so beautiful together. And I was like coaching them. I was like, "If you want to get out, just like be really quiet and don't ask to leave, because then they'll see that we're balanced out and we're fine. That didn't work. And also in this place, they wanted to give me some meds, and they have to ask you if you'll take them. They can't make you take them. If they want to make you, they have to get a court order to be able to do so. So they asked me if I wanted to take some meds, and I said yes, but only if you don't tell me if the meds are real or a placebo, because I had this idea that I wanted to figure out if a placebo would work. But they were like, we don't give placebos. And I was like, that's okay, just don't tell me. I don't know. It was bizarre. Also, I was trying to get rid of my wedding ring in that holding area. I just wanted it gone. And you might say, hey, how are you going on a date if you were married? That's a whole nother story. So, but anyway, I was trying to get rid of it, and I was telling this one mental health tech, like, I need to throw this away, but that nurse, she won't let me. He was like egging me on. He was like, you're like Frodo, you need to throw it into the fires of Mount Doom. But the nurse wouldn't let me. I tried to throw it out, and she put it in a plastic bag and put it with my stuff. Anyway, they threw out all my clothes, and I was admitted, and perhaps you are wondering why I'm just wearing this hoodie and a purple dry fit shirt, and you can't see from there, but I'm wearing these unicorn squad pajamas, and these were all articles of clothing that I wore in the hospital. This was a donation to the hospital that they gave me, along with a few other things. This purple shirt my roommate gave me, and it's dry fit. And I was like, oh, this is what I needed my whole life. I need dry fit clothes. Everything was a realization. And then these pajama pants my mother-in-law brought me while I was there. I don't think I had any underwear the whole time, because they don't get donations of underwear, and no one brought me any. Anyway, you might be able to see this has no drawstring, because they took that away, along with anything people could harm themselves with. And anyway, so I was in the hospital. I signed the papers to voluntarily commit myself. It's conditional voluntary. And then I didn't know at that point that I could sign a paper that said that I wanted to leave in 3 business days. So that took me a couple days to do. I was there from the 14th to the 20th. I don't want to rush this any more than it already is, so I won't try to fit in all my hospital stories here. I will do that a different video. But I saw the psychiatrist each weekday I was there, and he eventually told me that I had bipolar I. He didn't really want to tell me what I had. He was like, oh, like, diagnoses are only so important, it doesn't really matter. But I was like, no, what's the diagnosis? But all of these things, this pressured speech that I had, I needed to just talk to people, need to communicate these ideas, this grandiosity that I just thought I was God, or thought I was having amazing ideas that would, change the world. Also, my just complete lack of inhibitions, going on dates I probably shouldn't have, going and just driving really recklessly. At one point, just walking off to church and then hiding in the church because I got afraid. And there's a million things. Also, the psychosis is a huge one. And the lack of sleep and all the energy all led to, you have bipolar. So I did sign a piece of paper saying that I wanted to leave in 3 business days, and they had to let me go. And so I was let out 6 days later. It took 6 days because there was a weekend in there, and it took me like a day to learn that I could do that. Because they don't tell you. Another patient has to tell you, basically. So they probably shouldn't have let me out. I was back in the hospital very soon, but I will leave that to another video. I'm going to try to not make too many more videos about this whole mania, but it's just really important for me to process this because I feel like if I don't do it now, I'm not going to do it. It's already been a year. So I'm going to leave it there for now. I'm going to go call some people that I had numbers from this hospital visit that I haven't called because I didn't look at any of this stuff until a week or two ago because I had this impetus to do so for YouTube. But I'm really doing it for myself too. Anyway, goodbye, my beautiful NBs, my strong bipolar friends too, and all of you allies, brazen and free, so long and blessed be.